What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa, and with me, as always, it's the great and powerful. It's Adam Obesius, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Tonight's brew is from Boulevard Brewing Co.
Boulevard.
It's the Dank 7. And Obi's going to have a little bit more about that after the break. What's on tap for tonight? Well, I guess the big thing dominating the news cycle, and something that we kind of unavoidable at this point, we're going to have to talk about a little bit.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Is this Madison Square Garden rally where, I mean, we don't talk about politics that much on this show anymore. But this one seems like this could be, and who knows, by the time that this episode comes out, or by the time we get to next week's episode, we will have a new president of the United States. And who knows if this is something that swings enough people to feel differently about the Trump campaign. But we're not going to talk about that specific, or generally, more specifically.
Yeah.
It's the Tony Hinchcliffe
Set.
Stand-up. I was going to call it stand-up, but like...
set / rally speech.
Yeah. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
We just kind of have to.
Speaking of politics, I got to play Call of Duty. And the Black Ops 6 is now out, and I got to play it a little early, actually, as soon as it dropped on Game Pass. And
Game Pass thing, man.
I was able to complete the campaign and play a few hours of multiplayer. Have not touched Warzone yet because that's not really my bag.
I was about to say, are you gonna?
I will, just to, see how it goes. But I have some thoughts about the new campaign especially, and multiplayer. So,
all right. So we're going to talk about that, and that might be it.
We'll see.
We'll see where we go from here. But we can't do any of that until we get into the show proper. So please, without further ado, this is episode 440 of the One Beer In podcast. Yeah. Oh. Uh-oh.
Lost to be found.
He's going to do that.
By someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored. When it's bright out. So bored. When it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. Takes me to a place where
I've made a few.
All right. This is the One Beer In podcast.
That's correct.
The podcast where two brews crack open a brew and we see where that one brew takes us. So, I am Marco. That is Adam.
Yep.
And please, sir, would you tell the people a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight?
I would love to. I picked this up from Legacy Liquors in Oviedo, Florida. I say that because they were very nice to me.
Oh, shout out
to Legacy Liquors. This is the Boulevard Brewing Co. Dank 7. It's a Belgian-style IPA. They don't have a cold read on the can or on the box itself, but if you go to boulevard.com, they actually have boulevard.com, you can read up on Dank 7, which goes as follows. 13 years ago, Boulevard set the brewing world ablaze with a revolutionary take on a classic Belgian saison. Sparking up creativity again, our first playful Tank 7 seasonal variant offers an approachable ABV and a massive dose of resinous piney hops by loading up this variation with 7 different hops. It is a 7% ABV, 55 IBUs, and 16 EBC. Available on draft.
All right.
And there you have it.
Let's get into this. Let's drink it for real. A Belgian-style IPA. All right.
I still don't really know what that means, but...
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's the hops.
Maybe because it's a play off of saison.
I mean, it is a little saison-y.
Saison-y.
Is there actually 7 hops in this?
That's what it says.
For real?
I trust the internet.
Okay. Let's get into this.
Okay.
So over the weekend, I guess. I don't know what day it was.
Who can say?
Doesn't matter. Trump had a rally, one of his famous rallies, at Madison Square Garden. I like to go to Square Martin. And we could actually spend the rest of the episode talking about not even Tony Hinchcliffe, but like the rest of the speakers,
the entire
and everything.
event. I mean, it was huge.
It was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah. So we're not going to do that.
No.
What we'd really like to talk about more specifically is the Tony Hinchcliffe set, because there's been a lot of conversation about bringing a guy like that into a political rally and kind of dealing with the fallout of asking a dude like that to speak for you, you know? And what does it mean when you invite somebody to a rally as a politician? Does that person represent you? Does that person represent your thoughts and views and opinions?
Yeah.
Or are you
Your
just trying to
campaign.
entertain people, or kind of really like what do we what were they thinking?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of intersectionality between comedy, specifically of the ilk of the Joe Rogan clique, and current day MAGA conservatism. I think there's a lot of crossover, and I think that on paper it would make sense why you would get somebody like a Tony Hinchcliffe to be part of your rally. You want somebody that's entertaining, that obviously knows their way on a stage, has a way with words, and somebody that your supporters are aware of, if not, big fans of.
Yeah.
So I kind of see where they were going with it, but I think if Donald Trump would have known that Tony Hinchcliffe is known as more of a roasting comic, and let me get to the point here. I don't think Donald Trump directly knew or approved of the set. I do know, based on reporting, that whoever was in control of approving of speakers and content did approve whatever he had written down as his set.
Yeah.
Somebody knew.
And honestly, I'm going to just spoil it a little bit. My argument really is, like, other than the nature of the joke and the joke itself, the second biggest problem is that.
Yeah.
The fact that, like, Trump didn't know. Sure. If we're to believe that he's just this innocent bystander at his own rally, that he was blindsided a week before the elections,
sure,
by a comedian who was gonna go up and shit on like a very large
his voter base.
Like, I mean, he has no one to blame but himself.
Yeah,
obviously, everyone else is going to be blamed.
Absolutely,
and they've already just pulled the rug out from under Tony Hinchcliffe.
Oh yeah,
which, fuck Tony Hinchcliffe, but.
Yeah,
it is funny to watch them immediately.
All the governors and stuff saying like, this is not our party. I don't agree with what you said here.
They iced his ass out so fast. Now he's getting a real lesson and that's real politics, baby. You fuck one of them over and they will, they'll tear you to pieces and just hang out to dry.
It is the dirtiest sport in the land, my friend. Yeah. So, okay, I guess for people who aren't aware, Tony Hinchcliffe, well-known stand-up comic, roast comic specifically, famous for the show Kill Tony, in which he roasts comics. Ironically, in this situation, but
apparently a very successful podcast and very successful live show. Like the Kill
Yeah,
Tony show
yeah.
has exploded.
But yeah, so he's known for being off color, being a roast comic.
Off color is an understatement.
Yeah.
But the entire idea of roast comics is that like that's what they do.
Anything
Say shitty
goes.
things.
It's shocking, and you shouldn't be shocked by hearing shocking humor in that circumstance.
Yeah.
So, long story short, the main thing that has kind of made waves in his set in particular was what he said about Puerto Rico, and I've given up the punchline here, but he said something to the effect of, there's a lot of crazy stuff happening nowadays. There's a island of garbage floating in the ocean. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And then he followed that up with a black joke, which was it's not getting as much press, but pretty bad too.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm Puerto Rican American. Wasn't born there, if you can't tell by the lack of accent. When I heard the joke, was more offended by how bad it was.
Yeah.
It's not a good joke.
Yeah.
It's a bad joke. And even in the context of the Trump rally, he didn't get what he wanted from it.
Yeah, he ate shit.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely what people need to keep in mind, like not like, going gung ho for people at the rally, but like he ate shit at the rally too.
Right.
It's not like he got a standing ovation for that set.
You have a captive audience, my friend.
Yeah.
And you still failed.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, the fact that these jokes, many of which were off color, were surrounded by, essentially a stump speech for Trump and MAGA Republicans in general.
Yeah.
Just made everything feel worse.
Yeah.
Everything he was saying, it made it come off as a political statement. And when you combine off-color humor and a political statement, it makes it feel like those two things are intertwined. And when you're making your joke about overtly racist things or assertions about people's culture or an entire nation, it will inevitably not feel right.
Yeah.
And that's what his entire set really was it stank of this like milk and juice mixture that should never be combined, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And to top that off, like I said, it wasn't a good joke, but also when you're talking about, and this may just be a personal thing for me because, I've tried to do my best to learn up as much history about Puerto Rico as possible, and obviously just having cultural impact and knowing about it through my family, you are punching down to a group of people who have been through a lot, especially recently. And a lot of which has to do with America itself. So it feels like bullying when you do that.
Yeah. And
it's extra sour when you know the history behind the island and its colonization and its exploitation because of America.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like current day Puerto Ricans being in this limbo still of technically being part of the U.S. but not being able to vote. It's a disenfranchised, disempowered colony currently that, in my opinion, should either have its independence or be a state, because right now it's getting the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
And with all of that, in the background, it comes off. I wasn't offended, mind you. Like, I don't want people to think I was like clutching my pearls at the joke, because I've heard far worse, my friend. But it was distasteful, and it made me go, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to be as sort of level-headed about it and not get too much into my own fifis about it. And just from a surface level, bad joke, bad delivery, wrong place, I think, are the main three things. Add in cultural significance, add in colonization and the rape and pillaging of an entire people. And, you know, it was the exact wrong thing to happen if Trump wanted to open himself up to more voters.
Right. And to that effect, not only has every MAGA Republican, you know, distanced themselves from Tony, but Trump himself and their entire campaign, they were like, other than the person who hired him, who that person, that guy's probably in the gulag now. Other than whoever that was, everyone else has distanced themselves as well. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how this has been received by pretty much every single person other than like a select few people who are like, it was a joke, man.
Well, you know, I agree with you on Trump specifically, but J.D. Vance came out there and said, you know, I didn't watch it.
Well, he did. Yeah, he didn't watch.
But people need to stop being so sensitive about jokes. Learn to take a joke.
I'm trying.
What?
I don't want us to go down like a very political.
But I know. I'm just saying objectively.
J.D. Vance.
Objectively.
J.D. Vance. I'm trying to. I don't want to mince words here. Okay.
Okay. All right. Speak your truth, brother.
J.D. Vance could be the worst VP pick I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In my lifetime.
In modern history.
I mean, Sarah Palin was pretty bad. She had the mantle probably for worst VP pick.
Yeah.
But I think J.D. Vance is giving her a run for her money right now. Repeatedly not be on the same page as your running mate.
Yeah.
I mean, from like little things all the way up to massive policy that they don't agree on, that he has spoken for him on, just for Trump to turn around and be like, JD, we haven't spoken about it.
Right.
He's a great guy, but I haven't talked to him. It's like, what do you mean you haven't talked to him? What the fuck is going on?
your vice president pick?
So
you guys should probably talk. I don't know.
From everything from policy to just seeming like they're on different sides of the country, to go to have your own rally and be like, I didn't hear the joke, but let me stop you right there, JD. You don't get to speak on it then. If you didn't watch it and you didn't hear it, then you don't know the context, you don't know what was said, and you're just going to put your foot in your mouth, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
To be like, everybody needs to just kind of calm down and take and lighten up, while simultaneously your own campaign is going, we don't fuck with that guy.
Right.
You just look like an idiot. And he's done it multiple times, and I am just fascinated by how anybody could think he was a good VP pick. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, the funnier part of it was he also said, I mean, maybe there were some racist jokes. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's like, what? You don't say that.
No.
You don't say
Look,
that.
let me workshop this real quick. What you say is, look, I haven't seen it myself, but if there were racist jokes said, our party doesn't condone that.
Boom. That's not a controversial way to handle that.
I'm a half beer in, my friend, and I came up with that off the fly.
It's all just off the top, man. Hey, racism, don't condone it. We
don't
love
like
Puerto
it.
Rican people. We love Latinos. We love all Hispanic. We love all Americans. That's why we're running for president.
There you go.
And vice president, because we love the American people.
We love America. Yeah.
I mean, to get back to Tony Hinchcliffe's set. Mm-hmm. Because, again, we keep calling it a set because that's really what it was.
That's what it was presented as, you know?
So you got Tony Hinchcliffe of all people going up there. And Jon Stewart, it was pretty interesting to hear Jon Stewart's thing because I watched that live. And I kind of felt, I was like, I don't think people are going to like that he framed it that way. And sure enough, they didn't.
Well, what did he say for people who didn't see that?
So Jon Stewart basically was like, if you hire a roast comic, you can't be surprised at the results. And I kind of think he's funny. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I kind of think he's funny. Now, here's the thing. Jon Stewart has always had a soft spot for comedians.
Of course.
He is a comedian himself. He is
Yeah.
a stand-up. And he just so happened to kind of fall into The Daily Show and then become a massive star because of it.
Yeah.
But he started off. Jesus, I gotta drive.
It's okay. It's all right.
Jon Stewart, how could you?
You long for the old days of Jon Stewart. I get it.
I long for black-haired Jon Stewart.
Yes.
Big Daddy Jon Stewart.
I was about to make that call. Yes. The goddamn Jets.
So he's good friends with Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle has had his his fair share of controversies and whatnot,
Yeah.
and he has definitely kind of gone to bat for comedians. I wouldn't say that he's part of the
The clique.
yeah, but he definitely is kind of an outsider going like, I used to be that guy. I get where those dudes are coming from.
Sure.
He's not the comedians are the last bastion of truth
Yeah.
in American society, but he's definitely adjacent to that argument. So he kind of was like, the bigger deal is the political ramifications of this rally itself and the message, and he kind of skirted around Tony Hinchcliffe. He kind of just really kind of popped in and out on it. And people were not happy about the fact that he kind of just skirted around it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought it was interesting too, because when I saw the clip, I was actually looking forward to hearing like Jon Stewart's perspective on it, or the Daily Show's perspective on it. And then to listen to him, I was kind of like, it was a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little like, man, you kind of just you gotta let him off the hook there.
Soft.
And okay, let me just say this before we go any further. I just want to get this out there. Tony Hinchcliffe sucks.
And it's funny because if you've seen him before, if you've watched Kill Tony, you know that.
He's the worst part about Kill Tony.
He's the worst.
Everyone else is funnier than him.
Sucks.
He brings on people like Shane Gillis and the comics that are good that go up there. I mean, obviously they roast the bad ones, but the good ones that go up there, I mean, they fucking kill, and they're really, really funny.
Right.
I've never thought Tony Hinchcliffe was funny. The only thing that I liked about Tony Hinchcliffe was that he's a wrestling fan.
Sure.
So that when I used to listen to the Rogan podcast, if he ever had a wrestler on, Tony would be there as kind of like the connective tissue for Rogan and the wrestler. He could like give context to these matches. Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. That was the only thing that I even liked about him to begin with. His stand-up, I do not think he's funny. So I'm just flabbergasted at the Trump campaign's decision to even have him up there. And I think the only thing was they looked at, like you said in the beginning, who is adjacent to Joe Rogan and who's successful. I think that's the only two things that they looked at.
Yeah.
And I think that they thought that they were going to be able to get away with it because he's a roast comic and because people will go, well, he says stuff like that all the time. Without, and again, this is just so mind-boggling that a campaign manager would think, well, even though he says this at one of the last rallies we're going to have before the election, people will be able to get it.
One of the biggest by far.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
People will be able to discern between Hulk Hogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, and then all the other congressmen and senators and whatnot who gone. They're going to be able to like split the difference there, right? They're, it's like, no, man, that's so I guess that's really the conversation here, really, is...
Yeah. Well, and also, too, if I may interject.
Please. I'm getting a little high-pitched. I'm getting a little...
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Got to bring it down.
That's why you choked the first time. You went too hard, too fast. I saw somebody on Twitter. I want to say Tony Hinchcliffe retweeted it or something. But coming to his defense, saying, like, Tony Hinchcliffe is far from the first comedian to do a set at a campaign rally or for a politician. And, they posted a clip of, what's his name? The most famous roast comedian of all time.
Don Rickles?
Don Rickles, thank you.
The Reagan thing?
Yeah. And first of all, Tony Hinchcliffe is no Don Rickles.
Tony Hinchcliffe couldn't shine Don Rickles' shoes. And this isn't even What are we talking about here?
Wait, this has nothing to do with current events. This is just objectively.
Yeah.
As a comedy fan.
Come on, what are we talking about?
Let's be real.
And I'll just say for the record, I don't even think Don Rickles is that funny. So I'm gonna just throw that out there. Comedy people might like come for me after that one, but like I don't even think he's that funny. He has his moments where I'm like, that was a good one. But
I like some Don Rickles.
Mostly, he's just shitty to people too.
That's true. But apparently a sweetheart.
Well, that's the only way you can get away with stuff like that. And that is how you get away with those things, man. That's the point, is like...
It's kayfabe, baby.
That exactly.
Yeah. You know I love you.
When you are shitty to somebody that you love, you're doing it like they know and I know and we know and like everyone's in on the bit. The bit is that like I obviously love you. That's why I feel comfortable saying these things to you and about you. Yeah. And I know that you can take it. Right. And if I thought that you couldn't take it, I wouldn't say these things about you. I wouldn't joke with you this way. And that's what's missing from the Tony Hinchcliffe thing, is like he's just mean to people. And that's part of it. I get that. I'm not saying that he shouldn't do that. He's become incredibly successful doing that. But the point of roasts, and by the way, something that has become missing in the roast, which I'm not going to get into detail on that, but I'll just say like the roasts used to be here's Frank Sinatra and here's 4 of Frank Sinatra's closest friends saying mean things to him. About him. Now it's like, here's the hottest celebrity or a legendary celebrity. Let's just get funny people who they don't even know sometimes to say the absolute meanest things that they can think of. It's not the same. You roast somebody that you love. Yeah.
Yes. It was always a celebration of that person. And at the end, it's always like, oh, let's all give each other hugs and it's a good time.
Yeah. But when Tom Brady had his roast, which was like mega successful.
Yeah.
At the end of it, he was like, that ruined my life, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to like talk to people. And I think that was a huge mistake.
I got to talk to my kids.
Like, that's not the way that those things should end, man. They should end with everybody hugging and kissing and having a good time.
It should be with the right spirit. And doing it mean-spirited in the way that Tony Hinchcliffe did at this rally / stand-up show was not the right way to go with it.
Because what's the bit? What's the subversive part about that joke? You know what I mean?
And that again,
you're just calling Puerto Ricans garbage. There's no subversion there. There's nothing, because some people have said that Tony, and this is a conspiracy theory, which was incredible to watch. The mental gymnastics.
I think I've seen this one.
They said that he said this joke to kind of bring to light, you know, what's happening in Puerto Rico, and now that he's talked about it.
Oh wow, yeah, that makes total sense. Wow. No, well, the conspiracy theory I saw was that the Democrats actually put him up to it.
Oh yeah, that one I didn't even entertain, because that one's just so stupid that I'm not even entertaining that one.
Amazing.
But the one about how there is, like, I saw one post and it was this picture of like actual garbage in Puerto Rico. Come to find out, fake photo. Well, not a fake photo, but it was a photo that's been circulated on the internet for like the last 10 years.
Sure.
And people have used it whenever they want to use it when they talk about like a shitty area. So like if you Google if you reverse image it, it's everywhere. So that was already debunked. You've got people saying that like he's brought to light these issues, and that would be maybe sort of kind of maybe a bit if we didn't find out just recently. We were listening to that clip of Rogan saying that he's been workshopping this bit forever. And this is just a joke that he does in his set. This is not him. This is not some like subversive political statement that he's making about how America needs to take better care of Puerto Rico. No. He's just saying he's just making a shitty joke about Puerto Rico. Like there's no what are you talking about?
That is a lot of between the lines you're reading.
Dude, you gotta that's Simone Biles level of gymnastics to get to that point, man. So like
I need to stay focused on my point though, which is, first of all, he's no Don Rickles. Going back to that clip.
Yes.
Secondly, if you actually look at the clip, he wasn't doing what Don Rickles did in that clip.
No.
It's not the same thing at all. Like, if you want to do a stand-up set, do a stand-up set, and at the end be like, you know, I support Donald Trump and, you know, go MAGA 2024.
Which I don't even think he did that, right? He just was there.
No, well, what he did was in between the jokes, basically saying, yeah, Donald Trump's the best, right? You know, he's going to clean up these streets and yada, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Which in doing those things distinctively makes it not a stand-up show. It makes it something else. It makes it a part of a political rally.
Right. Again, it's inherently political now.
Right.
You're endorsing the spacing on
the politician?
word. Not the politician, but the
candidate.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, I
just wanted to say incumbent for some reason.
No, not the incumbent.
No. We know where he is. He's on a beach somewhere.
Well, and okay, this is the last thing I want to touch on with this entire situation that I was disappointed by, was in Tony Hinchcliffe's response to this, specifically Tim Walz talking about it and saying how disrespectful it was, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Within that, obviously he roasts Tim Walz, saying, "Oh, you got a lot of time on your hands, whatever.
Yeah.
Learn to take a joke, blah blah blah." Within that, he said, "I love Puerto Rico. I vacation there all the time."
Yeah,
it's
love that. Love
my
that.
friend. That is not a that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
you enjoy having Puerto Ricans serve you mimosas. Great.
Yeah.
We thank you
man.
so much.
Very. I have a black friend.
Exactly. Even worse,
defense.
I go to Jamaica all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not racist.
How can I be racist? I vacation there all the time.
It's so out of touch. Like, what are you doing?
And maybe even that was a joke too. Who knows? That's the thing about this entire situation.
It doesn't read like one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, none of it
read
does.
Like
That's the problem. Is like Tony Hinchcliffe again. I'm just so surprised at the Trump campaign for even hiring him to go up there. I mean, I get some of the crazy people that they've had go up there. I get the Kid Rock's, because Kid Rock's been beating that drum for a while.
Sure.
And I even get Hulk Hogan. I get it. Fuck Hulk Hogan.
Of course.
But I get it.
As always.
I get it. But with Tony Hinchcliffe, I fail to understand. Maybe they thought that they were gonna get like the youth vote by getting somebody like Tony Hinchcliffe to go up there, but
well, they couldn't get Rogan. They clearly wanted Rogan.
Yeah,
and he said no.
Yeah.
And so,
and I'll say this, and again, far be it for me to defend fucking Joe Rogan, especially in 2024, but. You know, he's had his moments these past couple of months with this kind of stuff, and even this, he was, you know, I don't know if you want to believe him or not, but he definitely was like, "Hey man, you shouldn't say that." Like he tried to warn him, and not for nothing, yo, Tony, you need to check your boy, because Joe Rogan just threw your ass under the bus too. To go on another podcast, dude. Yeah, they all sold his ass out.
Tony is having a bad week.
Yo, if I was Tony, the first person I would call would be Joe and be like, "What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Why are you saying this?
Why would you sell me out? And what is happening all around me? You said that this was a good idea.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done this.
Yeah.
To be like in a public forum, be like, I told him.
I told him. He didn't listen. Dude,
that's so funny to sell him out like that. I told his ass, man. I said it was a bad joke from the beginning. Yeah. I said it was bad when he was doing it in the comedy clubs. Well, this motherfucker went up there and did it at a rally? He's out of his mind.
According to sources, I don't know whom.
Sources.
According to the internet, he workshopped it the night before. The night before the actual rally.
Well, and they were aware of what he was going to say. Did you see what they killed?
Yeah. Calling Kamala Harris a cunt.
Yeah, so that was too far for them.
Too far.
But the Puerto Rican joke, which they read and vetted, they were like, yeah, go ahead. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was going to bring up saying the black guys carving watermelon for Halloween.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was more of an improv thing.
Yeah, that probably wasn't part of the set. He definitely saw a black guy laughing and was like, I'm going to single in on this guy because he's going to be my way out of this.
Right.
And my way out is by saying something racist about him now.
What else do we got here?
But I mean, even
black guy.
Even that is like, his idea of like thinking on the fly is black guy. How do I roast a black guy? Watermelon. It's like this is your top level guy. This is the dude.
The entire thing was so hacky.
And
look, I have done my due diligence in watching this thing with a clear head, not even trying to think about the fact that it's a Trump rally, taking that all out of the mathematics of this stand-up set, watching it for the sum of its parts. Come with me, please. Watch it yourself and tell me it's not completely hacky.
Yeah.
Full of like the lowest of hanging fruit jokes, and other than that, it seems like he is floundering up there and very openly just filling in the spots where there's this lull with, oh yeah, I love MAGA. Yeah, he's gonna close down those borders.
Yeah.
Right,
well,
fellow
just
MAGA.
just saying stuff, you know. I like. Do you think Tony Hinchcliffe even gives a shit about stuff like that? Like, do you think he critically thinks about the border or anything?
Absolutely not. I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares at all. I think he's one of these people who saw a paycheck, sold his soul to it, and now he has to deal with the ramifications, which I don't think are going to be.
There aren't going to be any.
Yeah, I don't think there are going to be any.
Yeah,
in fact,
he'll be all right.
he may come out of this even better if he shifts into more of this like openly left leaning or right leaning, semi-political. thing.
Which is what they always do.
Right. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but.
Yeah, this next Netflix special, they tried to cancel me. They won't let me say anything. Is going to debut to 100 million people watching it.
Right.
So it's
hey, if
just
Trump
the nature
wins,
of the
I mean,
beast.
maybe he'll come back on.
Yeah, maybe he'll be like the entertainment secretary. Trump will just create a department.
Department of Entertainment.
Yeah, did you like with
Elon?
With Elon, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Doge.
If I can't. He backronym.
Wait. USA. And
he goes, what is?
And then he goes, like, look at my face. This is what he does. So
yeah.
So bad.
Pathetic. But yeah, that could be what we're looking forward to is the Doge department.
Can't wait.
Okay. I think I said everything that I wanted to say about that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's I wonder how far the fallout is going to be or how big the fallout is going to be. I'm very interested to see like how much this affects his campaign, if he's able to, because one thing that I will give Donald Trump credit for is he's very, and I think this is more his supporters than it is Donald Trump's ability to do anything.
Sure.
But he has been able to sidestep a lot of controversy pretty deftly.
Yeah,
been able to kind of dance around stuff.
He is the Teflon Don for a reason.
Yeah. So this could just be another one of those things. I know a lot of people have been reporting on it as if it's going to be the death knell of his campaign.
No, it's not.
It is
spoiler
huge.
alert. It's not going to. This is not going to be like it's suddenly a landslide for Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
So no, definitely not. That ain't happening. But I will say, there's definitely. If you're somebody who is of Puerto Rican descent and this was the thing, like you were gonna vote for him, and then a comedian went on stage and was like, "You're garbage." Now all of a sudden you're not, or you're gonna vote for Kamala.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think maybe you should be paying attention to the policies more. I think maybe you should be, because here's the other thing, and Jorge Masvidal, famous boneheaded MMA fighter.
Yes.
He went on Fox News and he was like, "Listen, we're still gonna vote for Donald Trump, but because we know better." This is what he said: "We know better." But it was disgusting. Like, he separated himself from the Tony. He actually helped Donald Trump separate these things by saying, like, listen, you know, I don't support what Tony Hinchcliffe said, but I'm still going to vote for Donald because I know Donald doesn't feel that way. And that's what a lot of people, they've been able to do that. So, like, it, you know, he's got his sycophants out there doing the work for him. And so I don't know how much, if at all, this is going to affect
it will have an
the
effect.
campaign.
I guarantee it will have an effect. How much of an effect, I don't know. Because, you know, there are the largest Puerto Rican populations are in non-swing states, generally.
Yeah.
So, you know, it may cause more people to vote for Kamala Harris that are already in states that are blue, you know?
Yeah.
But there are some, like Pennsylvania, I think, has a pretty high Puerto Rican population, and others that could help affect the trajectory of this election.
Yeah.
But again, unfortunately, Puerto Ricans living on the island who heard this and are most affected by those words don't have a say.
And, you know, at the end of the day, and I guess this would be my last word on it, that should be the thing that we focus on the most. To say that about an entire population of people, and those people who are most affected by that can't even really voice their opinion on that in a way that is meaningful,
in a politically constructive way. Yeah, no, they're voiceless. They are essentially voiceless people that have been stuck in this quagmire of politics and misuse of funds and embezzlement, largely due to the way that this entire thing has been set up by the United States, and not by accident.
Yeah.
So
I just think whatever the Puerto Rican people as a majority want for the island, they should have.
Yeah, I agree. I really think there should be a situation just like, you know, there was during the Brexit and stuff like that, where the people decide what their future will be. Yeah. Point blank, period. Because, you know, I don't know if you heard this, but before there was talk when Trump was in office of him selling off Puerto Rico in order to get Greenland. So it's like using it as a bartering chip is disgusting in 2024. And yeah, I mean, I think if you're living on the island, you should have a say. I feel like I don't deserve a say personally because I'm technically only culturally Puerto Rican. Counts for something. Mm-hmm. I have my own opinion, but my opinion is essentially it can't stay the way it is. Right. It hasn't worked. It has not worked for the people who live there. People continue to leave there. There's a shortage of teachers. There's a shortage of farming. They are not self-sufficient, and a lot of that has to do with the way that America has set up the island by making them having to get most of their meats, most of their industrial goods from the mainland. And that's not on accident. So shit or get off the pot, essentially. Right. Make them a state. Make them officially part of the United States of America with all of the rights indebted to a state in the USA, or give them their independence and let them do their own thing and make their own future for themselves. Because what it is right now is just a place for the Paul brothers to go and vacation and live for better tax credits and
launder their lunchly money.
Exactly. They're moldy lunchlies. It's like, okay, that's great. Awesome. Yeah. Love that. So that's my 2 cents. Last word.
All right. Let's talk about something a little more fun. Why don't we?
Yeah. Guns.
America. Games. Microtransactions.
Yay.
Black Ops 6.
Ain't that America?
So, Black Ops 6 is officially out.
Yes.
And
the latest in the Call of Duties.
Xbox was lucky enough, or Microsoft, I should.
Xblops.
They gave them the exclusive rights on their Game Pass.
Yeah.
to get the game a little bit early.
They technically have the right to do whatever they want with it because
Right. They own it.
They could make it Xbox exclusive,
And they were nice enough
they
give
sprinkle
the little
it down
people,
to the PlayStation.
Yeah, so how kind of them.
That's great. Glad
And,
they want PlayStation money.
Yeah. So here we are, kids. New Call of Duty game, new Black Ops game.
Yes.
We're back again where we do this every year with whatever Modern Warfare game or whatever offshoot Modern Warfare game or offshoot Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
Or
Black Ops.
the storied Black Ops series.
Yes.
So,
Can I ask you, what's your favorite of the main lines of Call of Duty? You Modern Warfare guy, you a Black Ops guy, you a World War II guy?
I don't. I think I rate the World War II games probably the lowest as far as their replayability and enjoyability from like a multiplayer standpoint. I'm just not into
The antique guns.
Yeah, I like playing the story mode is awesome. The campaign obviously is.
That's where it all started, right?
Yeah,
You know.
So they always do that amazing. So that's always fun to play. But once you get into like the multiplayer of it, and like you're holding the clip of the gun, and you just can't put as many attachments on there, or you have to get kind of like.
wait, my friend. It's called a magazine.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Of course. How silly of me. Holding the magazine. Fuck you. Or they have to kind of take liberties with the attachments on these guns.
Yeah. It's all fake BS.
Yeah. So I can kind of accept that in like an advanced warfare kind of thing.
Sure.
But when when you're going for historical accuracy with the guns and you turn around and you're like, yeah, but let's just go and put all these fucking attachments so you can have more fun.
Yeah.
I don't really rock with that, so I'll say like multiplayer wise, the World War games are usually rated the lowest.
Okay.
The Black Ops games, I'll say I played Black Ops 1 through 3, skipped 4 and 5.
Yeah, those were the weirder ones.
Yeah.
Those went like to the future, right?
Yeah.
And then was it 4 or 5 that was multiplayer only?
I don't remember.
It was one of the two. One of the two didn't have a campaign, infamously.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why I was like, no, you're not getting my money.
Maybe it was 3. It was either 3 or 3. It was right there in that middle, like 3, 4, 5. And now, obviously,
they had a rough patch after 2.
Yeah. And then the Modern Warfare. I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of Advanced Warfare. Okay, so let me just answer your question more simply. Modern Warfare is my favorite, followed by Black Ops, then Advanced Warfare, then the World War games.
Yeah, I think it was 3 and 4. By the way,
What?
that was online only.
Okay,
Either 3 or 4.
So
Because then 5 was the one that was on modern consoles, but obviously before Modern Warfare 2 and 3 came out.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I like that. Like Modern Warfare to me, I think that's probably my favorite version of all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the revolution, and even the remake was just as good.
Remake 1 and 2 were so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I think it's underappreciated how good those games were, given how good and like iconic the original 1 and 2 and 3 were.
Yeah. To just restart the series in a modern setting.
Yeah.
And do it as well as they did, when I was like, wow, I really wrote these guys off.
Yeah.
And they came back and they did they brought it back. So, but I will say I probably had the most fun playing Black Ops.
Yeah.
I think if I had to say the best one, it's Black Ops 1. That's probably the best Call of Duty game I think I've ever played.
Yeah, I was going to say as a single player fan campaign player and you know, multiplayer player as well. I think I have to swap it with Black Ops is my favorite than Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
As iconic as Modern Warfare is, obviously. And then the OG World War II ones and the newer World War II ones pretty cool too. Yeah, that's where I stand. And I think that's a perfect segue into talking about Black Ops 6, which, like I said, I was able to download on my PC thanks to Game Pass. And, I had a really hard week of making sure I was able to complete the campaign for this podcast. And I'm happy to say I did.
Just trudged through it for the people.
It was a rough time, but, I made it.
Yeah.
I mean, long story short, this is one of my favorite single-player campaigns of any shooter ever.
Wow.
Period. Ask me some questions. What do you want to know about Black Ops 6?
Okay.
As somebody who's only played multiplayer for like an hour at most.
Okay. Do you feel, because the thing that I've been seeing a lot of, and I'll just say, like, I'm on the fence about buying it.
Okay.
Because I'm on PlayStation exclusively, so I have to buy it. I have to buy it full price. I don't get to,
It's on PS Plus or something.
Yeah. So I just have to buy it if I want to play it. And I focus more on Warzone.
Right. But
I am gonna. If I get it, I'll have to play multiplayer just by nature of the fact that I have to level up the guns.
Sure.
So the conversation that I've been seeing online about this game has been skill-based matchmaking and skill-based damage. Apparently, now that's more of a controversial rumor kind of thing. Like, is there actual skill-based damage or not?
I see.
Skill-based matchmaking is a real thing. You can,
of course.
you can watch it happen in real time to you. So, first question, I guess, is in multiplayer, do you feel the brunt of the skill-based matchmaking, and do you think that it affects your experience negatively or positively?
I think so far, for the vast majority, positively. I've had far more close, entertaining games than I have had complete slaughters or just me feeling like I need to be nerfed because I'm too good.
Yeah.
So I think my experience so far essentially has been so far so good. We'll see how, because it's hard to review it in a multiplayer sense because it's always evolving. But as far as like the first week of it being out, I kind of think so far so good. I haven't had any major like crashes or being unable to find matches and things like that.
Yeah.
It's worked flawlessly, which is something that I don't want to overlook because that hasn't been true for a lot of major online games in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So I want to give them a little, good job. You released it without it shitting the bed.
Yeah.
So.
And shit, I lost my train of thought. It's dank 7, baby.
Oh, it's pretty dank. It's a lot of hops.
These hops are killing me, brother. So, okay. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Skill-based matchmaking, I think, mostly affects bad players who have decent games every now and then, and really, really good players who then now have to deal with, the sweaty 12-year-olds who are like clawing the controller or have scuffed controllers and shit. You have to deal with that. I think most like decent to good players probably just sit right there in that middle. If your KDR is like 1.5 to 2,
that I'm pretty much in that little sweet spot, I think.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm in the sweet spot of it all where, I tend not to have matches with like, okay, you're like a pro league guy.
Yeah.
And also just not kids just spinning around when they respawn.
Yeah.
So, from my experience, take it for what you will. If you're within around that, like you said, like the 1.5 KD, you're probably gonna have a good time. It's just fun to pop like again, they're not reinventing the wheel, which they have been criticized for in the past. I've done some criticism myself about them doing this. But in this circumstance, I think that it works because enough is different, especially with that omnidirectional dive that they have.
So how much does that affect things? Because obviously that's like one of the big things that's come out about the game.
It affects it, in my experience, more than you'd think. And it seems like it's not that big of a deal where now you can dive and look in all directions, like a la Max Payne, you know?
Yeah. Or even Helldivers, if you played Helldivers.
Sure, yeah. Far more modern example. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense, and it kind of makes the older games feel like old.
Yeah.
Frankly. For them not to have ever had that before feels like, huh? Like, why didn't we think of this before?
Well, and I think that's part of the reason why in past Call of Duty games, people have had to do things like kind of game the system a little bit with like dolphin diving and drop shooting and slide canceling. That kind of stuff is born out of the inherent limitations of the movement in the game itself. It does get boring just like running in a straight line, meeting somebody in the middle and hoping that you shoot shoulders up.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
neck and above or whatever.
It definitely gives you a better shot at not getting ambushed as much.
Yeah.
Which is one of my biggest complaints with playing multiplayer is like, you know, you're bound to get some cheap shots in and have cheap shots done to you. You know, I think it is a marked improvement, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is in every Call of Duty moving forward.
Yeah.
I think
that's
it
the
makes
other
sense.
thing I think is really weird about the way that Call of Duty handles this stuff is like when they innovate on something, and like you said, they don't innovate very often, but when they do, a lot of times they're like, sorry, that's a Black Ops thing. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
You're saying that these guys can't move like these guys from the 60s? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I do find it very strange when they do that. And I do hope that anything that becomes a positive, a net positive for them, that they just put in all the other games.
Yeah. I'm curious, did they add that to Warzone? I'm not sure if you know yet.
The omnidirectional stuff? So I don't know. I will say that movement in Warzone is a lot more important than in multiplayer.
Yeah.
It's something that is like a huge, huge conversation that continues to be talked about. Every day you jump on the game, you just see people just sliding through doors and just... and you're like, what is happening?
Right.
Who are these demons? And in multiplayer, it's like, it's not that... It's obviously still important.
Yeah.
But I think it's more in multiplayer. You're trying to shoot faster. You're trying to play the objective. Yeah. In multiplayer in Warzone, there's a little bit more like you do what you have to do outside of the fight, and then once you encounter somebody, you basically have to outmaneuver them because there's so much area to use to outmaneuver them. Yeah. In multiplayer, like the maps are small. Even on the bigger maps, the maps are still small.
Sure.
And usually you're playing an objective. Even if you're just playing like team deathmatch, you're doing that loop of the spawn points. You're hitting the same like little things. You're getting the so
you have to work it based on your loadout, obviously. So you know you find your little sniper roosts and stuff.
Right. You're getting your little eagle's nest and everything.
You find the tight quarters if you have a shotgun.
Exactly. So there's a kind of rinse repeat nature to multiplayer,
which I will say still is magical. It still works. And I know just a couple weeks ago I was kind of talking down about Call of Duty compared to Battlefield. I want to say I still believe that Battlefield is a better game overall, but there is still something about Call of Duty that you, at least at this juncture, can't find in a Battlefield game.
Well, I mean, we even said it on that episode that there is a charm to Call of Duty that when they get it right, they get it really right.
You said it when you're playing here for a couple of minutes, and it's that they have it down to a science. It literally feels like your brain is clicking in a way, and like it just is so satisfying.
Yeah,
and the something I like about this Black Ops 6 in particular is that the leveling up system has been streamlined, and you can apparently level up whether you're playing in multiplayer or in Warzone, which is nice, and it all carries over. So there's a lot of if you like to play both or just one or the other, you don't have to choose between the two in order to level up your weapon. So actually, you don't have to play multiplayer as much.
Well, but the thing is,
you
have to.
You will, yeah.
Because you just don't. In multiplayer, you can pick like I can't remember what game it was, but like Shipment 24/7.
Oh yeah. I haven't found a Shipment like map yet.
Yeah. They're gonna do it.
Well,
they're supposed to be bringing Nuketown back.
Of course. Yeah, you need a Nuketown.
You always need a Nuketown.
So
I'm definitely I'm a Nuketown acolyte, I guess. I don't know, apologist. I don't know. I'm definitely like,
it's a
dude,
good
Nuketown's the
time.
best. I love Nuketown. It's my favorite map. It's my favorite map every time they do it. The just the way that it's set up, it's perfect.
I love that they changed the eras too.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun. It's a good time. And I can like we were talking about movies before where like you can literally in your head picture the layout of everything. It's like that's one of those things too. Like I could if I were blindfolded in a real Nuketown, I could walk around and figure it out.
Right. I jumped back into Warzone, not Warzone specifically, but Resurgence the other day, just to kind of see what's going on, get my feet wet and everything. And here's what I'll say about where we're at with Call of Duty. Two things that I have an issue with. Number one, the Call of Duty HQ, I just don't understand.
Yeah, it sucks. And here, let me cut you off.
No, go ahead.
1 second.
Because you've been playing it more, so you can kind of...
There's been a lot said about how big the file is, which it is.
It's massive.
It's huge. But I will say the file size for solely Black Ops 6 multiplayer and campaign, it's like 50 gigs. So it's not that bad.
But the thing is, when they're like, hey, what's up? And you're knocking on the door with 170 gigs.
Take this.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I go, hold on, do I need all that? And it's like, all right, fine.
No.
You only need this and you only need that. And it's like, all right, man, that's 50 gigs. Sell me on that.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and be like, how about the extra stuff? And I can be like, well, you know what? I got the stuff that I like. I'm fucking with this. I'll take a little bit of that too. Thank you. I'll take a little bit of that. And maybe I'll do that too.
Right.
Don't fucking try to just lump it all together.
And I agree with their idea, behind it, which is to make Call of Duty its own platform.
I don't agree with that at all.
I think it's fine.
I think that's terrible.
I think having Call of Duty as a platform makes sense. But
we're gonna disagree on this.
Let me explain. Let me explain.
Okay.
I like the idea of Call of Duty being its own thing, like its own platform in a way that like Fortnite is. But they're not doing it that way yet. What they're doing is selling you on an individual game every time with a disc, and this is Modern Warfare 3 and this is Black Ops 6, and you have to buy the thing every time. What I would prefer seeing is just Call of Duty being a platform and them releasing updates on that platform until they update their entire the engine behind this entire thing, because they are so similar. Why are we doing this still?
Yeah.
Stop it with Call of Duty. Stop it with Madden. Stop with NCAA. Just make it its own thing. Make it its own platform, like people have been wanting from GTA forever too. It's like, just make it its own thing, its own world that you can like add on every year if you so choose. But them making it like this is a whole brand new thing every single time, other than the campaign, which I'll say is again one of the best. The campaign itself is one of the best games I've played all year. I don't really see the benefit from the consumer buying your whole ass game every single time if you're just going to iterate on these things.
There is no benefit for the consumer.
Omnidirection's is great. Don't get me wrong. But in other generations that we've had of Call of Duty, it's been like nothing has changed, or have they changed it for the worse? They've overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
And it's been demonstrably worse. So I don't know. I feel like we could streamline things a bit if you just had Call of Duty on your gaming console or PC, and every year you have a new Black Ops campaign, and then multiplayer updates to include whatever Black Ops stuff is happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could see a future with that happening and it be just as satisfying without the kind of overhead of it being a whole new game, which leaves people feeling like they've been taken advantage of.
Okay. Yeah. So in a perfect world, that would be what they would do. And I would agree with you. but they're not doing that.
No.
And it doesn't appear to be
can
that,
make far much more money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the issue is they have it in their minds, this delusion that I am going to log into the Call of Duty HQ and I am going to have Vanguard all the way up to Black Ops 6 installed on my PlayStation.
Why would you?
Ready to boot up and
Why
go.
would you do that?
That is what appears to be what they think people are going to do.
No.
That is an insane thing to try to sell people on.
No.
What you're talking about, I completely agree with wholeheartedly. And like you said, that's what we've been talking about with all of these. And by the way, that is the rumor with GTA 6.
Yeah.
That GTA 6 is going to be the last GTA game, and then it'll basically be like the hub. Because they saw so much success with GTA Online.
Oh, yeah.
That once they restart that whole thing.
Oh, it's printing its own money.
Yeah. So that's going to be. And I mean, the fact that GTA 5 lasted 10 years, GTA 6, I mean, that's another decade plus of them just updating that thing. And I'm sure that they already are writing all of the DLC and everything like that. So that's going to be a thing where if you're a GTA fan, get fucking comfortable with GTA 6 because that's probably. I wouldn't be surprised if in the fourth quarter they just decided we're not even going to call it GTA 6. We're going to call it Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And that just be the game.
Yeah.
From now on. And if Call of Duty did that, if Call of Duty was like the game is Call of Duty, Black Ops is the subtitle to this campaign that we are going to update. You can pay. I'll even go so far as to say, what if Call of Duty did like Call of Duty HQ was like a subscription service?
Sure. Yeah.
And you did like instead of paying for a battle pass, you paid for the subscription service, and now you're playing Call of Duty. And whenever they come back in with a new new Black Ops game or Vanguard 2
it's
or
just
whatever,
there.
And it's like that's
Call
the new
of Duty
update.
Plus.
Because you're obviously not going to innovate on the graphics. If you change the movement and stuff, that's something that you can push out in an update.
Yeah.
That's something that they have pushed out in updates.
Sure.
So it's not like that is unheard of.
Yeah, unless they changed like the engine that they're making the game on, that'd still work.
Right. And I guess the only pushback there is they have so many studios involved that you'd have to get them all to kind of buy into this idea that like people say when a Black Ops game comes out, it's like, well, this is Treyarch. This isn't even Activision. So that's why the Black Ops games are usually better because the dev is better.
Sure.
So you're going to have to get all of them involved to make this thing make sense and to get it to run the way that they want it to run. Mm-hmm. That's going to be difficult, and I just don't see Call of Duty doing that. I don't see Activision doing that. They just make so much more money by charging people $75 every time these games come out. Same way that EA does with Madden, same way that 2K does with NBA 2K. Even if every single year you get the townspeople with their pitchforks out saying, we're never going to buy another game until you fix this thing. Every year the game comes out and they do record numbers. So we're already past the conversation of voting with your wallet.
Right.
But the criticisms are still legit and they still stand. Like these things, I don't like these things about the games. Like I don't like Call of Duty HQ the way that it's set up right now. And I don't like the pay to win nature of Warzone. I think it's really obvious that they don't. It's not consumer friendly. I think that, I think that I feel like I'm insane that I'm the only one. I'm obviously not the only one, but every time that I look online or see people talking about it, I don't see enough people talking about the fact that like, if you just want to boot up the game and play with your friends for a little bit. With the way that the game is set up now, with the meta, quote unquote, and obviously this isn't Call of Duty's fault specifically because they don't create a meta, but they kind of do by buffing and nerfing guns.
Well, they set the stage for a meta to be created.
Right. So you have this meta, and guess what, kids? You don't get to use guns from Modern Warfare 3. You don't get to use guns from any old game.
Yeah.
Guess where the meta goes? With the newest guns.
Thing, yeah. Which I'm sure they're not upset about.
No, it forces you to either grind the shit out of Warzone, which is a near impossibility at this point because the way that it's set up is like you're not going to get anything done except for getting your ass handed to you for a couple hours, getting frustrated, and then making one of two decisions. Going, I'm never playing this fucking game again.
Yeah.
Or just biting the bullet and going, fuck it. I'll buy the battle pass because everybody's using the STS or the Venom or whatever new gun that everybody's using. I want that shit. So fuck it. I'll just buy the battle pass so I can unlock these guns and these skins and stuff so I can be competitive.
Right.
So Fortnite, for example, because you brought it up, their kind of hub thing works because they mostly give away all that stuff. They don't have an ecosystem of, you need to buy this gun to be competitive.
From what I know, it's all cosmetic.
It's all cosmetic, and that's why
and
Overwatch, for instance,
good.
was Overwatch, for instance, was really. I mean, rest in peace to Overwatch. But when in the beginning, the reason that they were so successful is because they put this trust in the consumer, and they asked for trust back, and we gave it to them, and what we got in return was great maps, great characters, and fun gameplay. And then people said, you know what? As a reward for you being so good to us, fuck it, I will pay for some cosmetics. I will, because I'm not paying for anything else. You guys gave us free maps, free new characters, free game modes.
Yeah,
I'll buy some cosmetics. Fuck it, that's nothing.
It's a revolutionary thought,
And I'm just blown away by the fact that nobody else has jumped on this. Call of Duty is ripe for just leveling the playing field. Yeah. And then forcing people to pay for the cosmetics. People would pay. You could bump up the price of these silly like Michael Myers and Gundam Wing and Nicki Minaj and Rey Mysterio. Yeah. You could bump up the price of those cosmetics if you gave people the rest of the stuff as part of the base game. The problem is you fucking loyalists and you fucking these people who these 9-to-5ers who are like, I got money to burn. Yeah. And the only enjoyment I get in life is getting off from my office job.
Popping some heads.
Getting on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And, logging in as my Nicki Minaj skin, buying the weirdest gun I can find. And
saying some slurs.
And rocking some slurs.
Calling a 12-year-old a slur.
Yeah, just being Tony Hinchcliffe for a while.
Yeah, why not?
And that's the reason that I don't think anything important is going to change in that.
No, regard. It won't.
So those are my two frustrations, and that's probably why I've been so hesitant to just
dive in.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to know as far as my review of this game?
Yeah. Yes. So I am interested in the campaign itself because, the Black Ops campaign has been historically some of the best writing in the game.
Yeah.
Some of the most interesting stuff that they've done in the series. So I wonder if they have. Because you had to get through the whole campaign, or you couldn't give us this review.
I had to do it. Yeah.
So what do you think? Does it live up to the Black Ops hype?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. It just iterates on what Black Ops has always been, which is like, what if you made Call of Duty weird?
Yeah.
And it excels at that in so many ways. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but. It really does. It takes so much inspiration from other games in a great way.
Yeah.
And after playing the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, which was a train wreck, this was so refreshing to see some elements being brought over from that game, but done the right way. So you do get larger maps. You do get different ways of approaching an objective.
Yeah.
You can grab armor like you would in Warzone. You can find caches and stuff, and
that's cool.
You can choose to do a mission completely sneakily, silently, or you can go guns blazing.
That is something that has been missing from the series. I mean, as good as the campaigns are, they're pretty linear stories that you're just playing the story out. You're not doing anything.
Right.
So to kind of give you even small options and different ways to approach the campaign is pretty cool.
Well, and they went above and beyond in a way that they give you even options in how to, like, you clearly have a path ahead of you and you're given a map and you can decide like which way to go first.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're given options as far as like, okay, there are 3 targets. Pick one.
That's cool.
To figure out how to do your objective. And I'm going to replay the campaign to see if like those things have real impacts or not. But even them being there in a Call of Duty campaign is just like, we should have been doing this for so much longer.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad it's here now because you're having the best of that Call of Duty like feel mixed in with these options that we've been wanting from a Call of Duty game. And on top of that, there is this almost like RPG perspective of it all, where you can find money on your mission and help you build out your home base. And you have a home base, first of all. That's a new thing, kind of, which allows you to, first of all, explore your home base. And there are mysteries involved in the home base, and you can find stuff. You have a black light that you can like look for puzzles. Yes, that too. And there are mysteries within the home base itself, but also it gives you a chance after every mission to have these like dialogue options with your team. And I mean, me as like a story guy, that it's just so good to have extra time with these people to flesh them out more and get to know like who they are. And the graphics are incredible. The writing's great. The story itself is really good. And I love this cast of characters by the end of it.
Yeah.
To a place where I hope that there's more to the story by the end, because again, no spoilers, but it ends in a way that's like I need to see where this goes, and they have plenty of time to like fill that out. This story takes place in the early 90s. I think the first invasion of Iraq. So within that time span. So
Desert Storm stuff.
Yeah, the first Desert Storm. So there's a lot of time in between there before we get into modern warfare. And I would love to see the exploits of these characters and dig deeper. But it was surprisingly great. I was enthralled. I had a great time playing it. Highly recommend it for people who have maybe fallen off of the Call of Duty storylines for being just like, you know, blockbuster movies. It kind of felt in places like I was playing the best Mission Impossible game that could ever be made. just great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last but not least, zombies. Did you play zombies at all?
No.
Okay. So zombies debuted, I just looked it up to be sure, debuted it in World at War, but were really made famous in the Black Ops games.
Yeah.
Because after World at War is when we got that run of Black Ops stuff. Zombies were in those that series, that run of games, and really they really like, you know, hit their peak with I mean one of the best zombies is just playing as the former presidents.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like you said about like the beauty of Call of Duty is when they take like real life stuff and just kind of make it silly.
Yeah.
Zombies is the perfect encapsulation of that. So I watched Brad play zombies a little bit, and it kind of looks like fun. I mean, I don't know.
Apparently, they brought it back to how it used to be before they made it this like big open world Warzone type situation.
Yeah, I mean the Warzone stuff with zombies included, like especially when they did the zombies events and the DMZ stuff and all that stuff. I was like, it just seems a little half-assed.
It was shoot in.
Yeah, because there was like certain portions of the map where the zombies would pop up, and if you just avoided those portions of the map, you'd be fine, and you didn't really have to worry about it.
I did play that, so.
And also they were pretty easy to dispatch, so it never felt like a real threat.
Right, unless you got to like a boss or something that would spawn sometimes. But.
Yeah, and then those would be like the Sasquatch thing, or the Christmas thing, like that. Those were cool.
I love throwing the snowballs.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some people who get upset with the game in its current iteration, it's like, how long have you been playing? Because it's definitely been going in this direction for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I could see if you're upset by that and you want the game to be a little more self-serious, but I don't know, man. The game hasn't been a very self-serious game probably since. I mean, I was gonna say World at War, but World at War, even having a zombie mode inherently, is not that serious. Yeah. So I don't think. Modern Warfare, the OG, like 2008, Modern Warfare, 2007, Modern Warfare, that game was pretty self-serious. I don't think there was any like silliness in the initial base game.
But multiplayer inherently is silly, you know.
Yeah.
Like you are making fun of war games. Like it's not to be taken seriously. It's I mean, even the campaigns were blockbuster movies. This isn't.
They were like Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer, like they weren't.
Yeah, what do you think we're doing here? Like this isn't Saving Private Ryan.
No,
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, never was.
No. Okay, so would you recommend buying it?
I would 100% recommend buying it, which I did. I went out of my way and bought it because my my Game Pass subscription is about to retire, and I'm not going to pay for it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny because I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Game Pass, because they have these exclusive rights to the Call of Duty franchise, and not just Call of Duty, but like a lot of games that go on Game Pass for free.
Oh, we jump on Game Pass after this podcast sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
See what's up there.
You don't think it's worth it to renew?
I do, but I made an executive decision, okay? I said, look, what I can do this month is pay for another month of Game Pass, because I had a 3-month that I got for cheap because there was a deal.
Yeah.
So I can pay for another month, or what I can do is put that money towards buying Blob 6.
Yeah.
And since I don't have an Xbox, I'm far more comfortable playing it on my couch as opposed to on the PC.
Which is crazy, actually, by the way. I just want you to know, like, playing it on a 65-inch TV.
Well, it's not the TV.
Insane.
No, it's not the TV. It's just like I would much rather be comfy on my couch as opposed to sitting in a game chair. Like,
yeah, no, I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, the surface area.
Oh yeah.
And the refresh rate on a 65-inch TV.
I get it.
A gaming monitor.
I get it, but you gotta understand what I'm here for.
What are you here for?
I'm not here to be competitive. I'm here to have a good time.
Yeah, see? I can't. Even when we were playing it for 10 minutes, I was like getting angry.
I'll let you play on the PC and you can see the difference.
Well, I can't play on the...
I have the controllers too.
Okay.
Don't worry. Yeah. I got an Xbox controller.
These don't.
Yeah, they don't
this
do.
Is two left hands.
You can't do the clicker.
I tried. And I tried playing Roblox.
The hand cramps up.
Yeah, and I just...
Wazdi! Oh!
You're just speaking another language to me, man. I can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the controllers. They'll be fine.
Okay.
But I get that. But I made the executive decision to buy the game as opposed to continuing my subscription for Game Pass for another month and go monthly from there. Now, I do plan on getting back on once the Indiana Jones game comes out. Depending on reviews, if it's reviewing well, I'll hop back on.
Did I say this when we watched the trailer? I hate that it's first person.
Yes, I agree. Like out of all games to make first person, why are we doing it? I mean, I understand Machine Games, the guys who did Wolfenstein, make first person games, but
by the way, they make great first person games.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, not trying to take Wolfenstein's awesome, and what
So
they
good.
did with those games
So
is
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
I just don't think it works with. I mean, we'll see.
indie?
We'll see. I don't think it works with indie.
The guy we've only seen in third person.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And just like the way that the game seems to be from the trailers that I've seen and like these little like sneak previews from what I've seen,
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to me that it would work better in third person,
Well, and
just from a gaming standpoint.
I have a theory here, a game theory. I believe that the reason they did that was to differentiate themselves from Uncharted.
Ooh, interesting.
I think that
That is-
Xbox probably had decided to get the rights to make an Indiana Jones game and was like, we need to do it first person. Let's get Machine Games to do it, and
well,
the rest is history.
I don't think they should have done it at all, really, for being, we're gonna be 100.
Look, I think Troy Baker is a fine actor. Obviously, he's not Indiana
He
Jones.
ain't no Harrison Ford.
He's not Harrison Ford. He's not Indiana
He ain't no
Jones.
Harrison.
He can do a good impression.
And he did his best.
God bless him.
God bless him.
God bless him. I'm hopeful the game's going to be good. There's been a final preview that's come out recently, and it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying it's actually more of like a adventure game as opposed to an action game.
Okay.
So I'm interested.
Yeah.
It's piqued my interest. Not enough to continue my Game Pass
Fair enough.
subscription. But yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. Don't worry, Xbox. But I've made an executive decision to get it on PlayStation and just hold off for a couple of months.
Yeah. This guy came into my bar, and he was dressed as what I discerned later as O'Connell from the
Okay.
Mummy movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he kind of looked like Nathan Drake.
Ah.
So he came in, and I saw him, and I was looking at his fit, and I was like, it's very Nathan Drake. But then I like really took it in, and he had some accents that I was like, actually, I think he's O'Connell.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend, she pulls up next to him, and she's definitely dressed as Evie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that ties it all together. And I had to not fan out because I told them, I was like, hey, okay, I just want to make sure you guys are O'Connell and Evie.
I'd rather
right?
be watching the 1999 classic, The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser.
Exactly. I just had to let them know that like that's one of my all-time favorite movies. I watch it every 3 to 6 months.
You're on the wrong side of the river.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, but I was just thinking about that because you brought up Nathan Drake and Indy, really.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize like how similar all those guys, like the adventurer archetype
Yes.
is.
Yes. And it goes even before Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is a send up of the early 1920s adventure movies.
Right.
So, it's a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
It's been since we've been making movies that there've been these adventuring heroes.
I think it's about time we need a new one.
Yeah.
And you know who it's going to be? It's going to be a homie from Twisters, Glenn Howerton.
He would be a good pick.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd be a very good pick.
I think he's the guy.
Yeah.
I think if it's going to be anybody right now, who else could... I mean, they wanted it to be The Rock, obviously. Journey and Skyscraper or whatever the fuck that movie was.
Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise. Like, they very clearly wanted it to be The Rock. And as much as I would have loved for it to be a brown dude...
It was never going to be The Rock.
It was never going to be The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock has a different charm to him that doesn't... It's not... He doesn't have the same kind of self-effacing charm that Harrison Ford has or had, I guess, back in the day. The
his-
kind of like, I'm over it. Why am I even here? But at the same time, he loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like that combination of like, this is bullshit. Like, I just want to make sure that this artifact makes it into a museum. I don't even want to be fighting these guys. Like, that's the energy he brings to it.
Well, you know one of the big problems is?
Tell me.
He's too big to be strong. Or to be smart. Excuse me.
It's like, that's an interesting... That was almost poetic. He's too big to be strong.
I mean, strong in the heart, my friend.
Right.
No, he's too big to be smart.
Yes.
You know,
unfortunately,
it's a trope,
yeah.
and they could spin it on its head if they were, you know, if the writers were smart enough to be able to kind of juxtapose his brawn with brains.
That's what they do with the Jack Reacher show.
Yeah,
like Jack Reacher is Arnold Schwarzenegger meets Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
He's a genius detective while also being near
yoked,
indestructible.
Yes.
Like, the opening scene is them being like, they were like, I remember because I just thought it was so funny that they put zip ties on him, and as they're checking him in, she's like, zip ties, and he's like, the cuffs wouldn't fit. He's so big that they couldn't put cuffs on him.
Yeah,
and he's just standing there, just like, hulking.
Yeah.
Hulking figure. And then throughout the show, he proves to be the smartest person in the show.
Right, but you wouldn't think it.
No, and you really have to kind of buy in because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, this guy's smarter than every single detective, every single person who's involved. Like, anyway.
He reads while he lifts.
Yeah.
Just.
And he's reading a book.
What did Plato say? Oh, interesting.
So
no, I think it's that, but also at the same time.
Point,
The Rock, the bigger thing, seriously, is that The Rock has an issue with his character getting in actual danger,
right,
and taking the punch, and
it's a real thing that is problematic.
It's
for
glaring.
His movies.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things with especially Indiana Jones is like, my man gets caught, my man gets beat up
all the time.
It's part of his story. He is still an everyman in a certain way. He's just braver than most people.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a dude. He's
a dude.
Literally a teacher.
Right.
Who goes out there and he's like, I'm also pretty good at this other thing.
Right.
But my job is to be a fucking teacher.
Yes. His 9 to 5 is being a professor. But
The Rock would never be so humble. Not in 2024. Well,
Absolutely
maybe
not.
actually in 2024, maybe he would be.
I would hope.
I don't know.
I would hope.
He's seen the second life with wrestling.
Yeah.
That's kind of like gassed him back up again. Yeah. Also, he did a lot of good work when he came back, so can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So I'll deliberate. I might buy it.
Okay.
Playing it with you, watching Brad play it, seeing some reviews, I'm starting to get that itch.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like I have a
moral imperative.
that is like preventing me from just going, fuck it.
Yeah.
All this shit that I talked, and I'm going to just turn around and buy Madden, NBA 2K, and fucking Call of Duty all at once.
Yeah.
You know? Spend my life savings on all the battle passes and the season passes and the season passes and the battle passes. I don't know about all that. We'll see, though. We'll come back.
Okay.
We'll come back. But in the meantime, we got 2 things to do before we get out of here.
Okay.
All right? And the first of which is the cheers of the week.
Yes.
So, Obesius, what's your cheers of the week, brother?
My cheers of the week goes to Chromakopia.
Chromakopia. And let me just say, it's a unanimous cheers of the week this week. Chromakopia.
Yeah, it's
Chromakopia.
You know, I talked briefly about Tyler the Creator. I think was it last week? I think it was last week, right?
Did we talk about him last week?
I thought I did.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe the week before. No, it was definitely last week because we were talking about music.
Yeah.
I think with Chromakopia, he proves to be one of the most fearless artists around today in the pop spotlight. I think a lot of the choices made in the album are not what you would expect, and again continue to evolve, I should say, his sound, and make the individual songs make up for this larger tapestry of a cinematic experience with Chromakopia.
The Tyler Cinematic Universe.
Yes. Well, no, I mean, honestly, looking at his modern output, it is kind of its own thing. It feels like it could be packaged in this box set of modern Tyler the Creator. It all has this through line in a way, but also with its own unique twist to the sounds.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic album. It took me a couple listens. I listened to it the first time a little more passively, and I was kind of like, that was pretty good. Mm-hmm. There were some hitters in there, I could tell. But then I listened to it again today, actually, a bit more deeply and more focused, and actually trying to listen to the lyrics, listening to the voiceovers and stuff, and kind of putting the story together. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably his most intimate album so far.
Yeah, big time.
It's very real. It's very honest and raw in a way, but never gets in the way of the musicality of it all. And I think it's a great album. It's definitely gonna be up there on my list of top of the year.
Yeah,
personally. How'd you feel about it?
We gotta start putting those lists together.
I know. Well, now that was a soft reminder for you that we need to get those things together.
Yeah. I think I'll have more movies this year.
Okay, good.
Which is good. Yeah.
Good,
I feel proud about that. I'll have more movies to talk about.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's an incredible album. I think ever since this watershed moment of Flower Boy coming out, ever since then he's just been on an absolute tear. He hasn't put out anything, in my opinion, that's been even subpar. I mean, every album since Flower Boy has been great to classic. I think Call Me When You Get Lost is legitimately a classic.
Yeah.
I think as far as him kind of leaning into all of his influences on that and kind of doing a straightforward, hip hop mixtape-esque thing while also it's pseudo conceptual. Mm-hmm. I just think it's incredible. And then he comes back with the Call Me When You Get Lost expanded version, and that has 8 more songs that are just as good. Yeah. And he could have just released a double album, and I would have been like, oh, well, he's the only guy who's released a double album. That's a classic. So I think he's not done any wrong in my eyes since Flower Boy. And Chromakopia is up there as well. So I'm just in awe of his output. It's every 2 years he just comes back with something, and you're like, God damn, man, how much more does this guy have left? And it feels like when you sometimes you listen to an artist and you're like, there's no way that they can do any better than that. How much more? I feel like that every time Kendrick puts out something. Yeah. I'm like, how is he going to surpass this?
Right. What are you going to do next?
I thought with To Pimp a Butterfly, I was like, I think this is one of the greatest pieces of music I've ever heard, but what do you do after this? And then he puts out Damn, and I'm like, all right, maybe this is the greatest piece of music I've ever heard. What do you do after this? And then Mr. Morale, and I'm like, this guy just can't be stopped. I mean, the limitlessness of
the well is deep, my friend.
Creative geniuses like that, man. Yeah. So I want to hit you guys with a couple of facts.
Okay.
Number one. Tyler decided to go back to the old school Tuesday model, which I thought was really interesting.
Yes.
And so for the people who for you youngins who didn't actually purchase music back in the day,
Have you heard of the CD?
Albums used to come out at the top of the week. They actually used to release on Tuesdays, not Fridays. And the idea was that you had the entire week to kind of take in the album, as well as Billboard had an entire work week to give a not a guess, but an estimation on the first week's sales. And then by the end of the weekend, you had like the real sales and everything, right? So it all kind of worked. That was the way that the industry was. And then a little known artist named Beyonce came along, and she decided that she wanted to release her album on a Friday. And she did that. She surprised everybody with her self-titled album, and it worked like gangbusters. It was a massive, massive, massive success. And I personally credit this as like the, again, watershed moment in her career, which kind of catapulted her to being like music royalty. This was a huge, huge, huge moment. It literally shifted the industry, and then everybody started releasing albums on Fridays. But for the people, for the old heads, Tuesdays were fun. I remember as a kid going to Best Buy or FYE on a Tuesday, grabbing all of the first week albums, because like during the first week they were on sale. They were always $9.99. So you could get the albums, and then because the next week the price would jump up to like $12 or $15 depending on how many tracks, or if it was like a special deluxe edition or whatever. So in the first week, because all of the record labels wanted to sell the most in the first week, that's how you
bump up the numbers.
Yeah. So you go to Best Buy, and they had a little new release section. It was all $9.99, $9.99, and then just track through and just grab like, I mean, dude, I used to grab like 5, 6, 7 albums, just grab them all. Hey,
hi, we're wrapping up. Don't worry,
we're almost done.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. And I remember, man, like I have fond memories of going to like FYE, Best Buy, Circuit City, CD Warehouse.
R.I.P.
Like there's some place. Yeah, I know, right? And when it switched to Friday, I remember like hating it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the Friday model.
It was nice to have something like midweek to look forward to.
Yeah.
And especially if you were locked in like we were, like reading the double XLs and the different magazines that would get you hyped up for the coming soon.
Yeah. That was a big. That was a whole. That was part of it. You know, it wasn't just like the Friday thing makes more sense in like the streaming era. I get.
Hi, Sherry.
Sorry. I'm trying to get out of
You almost made it. You almost made it. She's carrying
you and your dead body.
Don't tell them.
She lifted it.
Lean.
Yeah, the Friday model works in the streaming era. I understand.
Yeah.
You know, all you're gonna do is like pull it up on your phone.
Sure.
Or pull it up on your Spotify, or pull it up on your Alexa, and just let it play over and over and over again, and not really pay attention to it. But back in our day, it was important.
It was.
And Tyler is around our age, and he obviously values, that old school, midweek model as well. So he put it out on technically put it out Monday, like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Going into Tuesday. And he is projected to do, as of this recording, 250 to 300,000 first week sales. That is, I can't really explain to you guys like how crazy and massive that is in the streaming era for him to release with only really like a week's worth of advertising, only 4 to 5 days of projections to be projected to do that much in 2024 on a weird day. Really kind of illuminates how big of a star Tyler actually is.
And apparently he took down Taylor Swift.
Finally.
Yeah. Dethroned.
Fuck that bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm joking. I'm
joking.
Get a bite of that burger.
So, Chromakopia. Will it go down as one of his best? I believe so.
I think so too. I mean, time will tell because, he's had a rich output thus far. So, we'll see.
Do you think that the Boulevard Dank 7, sorry, not Tank 7, Dank 7 will go down as one of the best on this show because that is what we had tonight. The Boulevard Brewing Co. Dank 7 Belgian style IPA. Obi, what do you think?
Good, not great.
Good, not great.
I mean, it didn't do anything special. Now, I do want to say, correction on my part, they do actually list the hops.
Oh, okay.
So
I bet you they were screaming at the
I know.
beginning, like, relist them.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Boulevard. It's Bravo, Chinook, Citra, Columbus, Mosaic, Simcoe, and Topaz.
I know. One job.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this beer. I would have it again, especially on tap. But it really didn't do anything above and beyond for me. Wasn't really unique in any way. Didn't stand out. And that's okay. I'm not saying every beer has to, but I was whelmed. I wouldn't say I'm underwhelmed. I was just whelmed.
Well.
But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed drinking it. So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4. I thought it was good. Not great. Like you said, solid. Belgian style IPA,
Solid.
like, I get it. I mean, I understand that, like, what it appears to be, like, kind of farmhousey, saison-y IPA. Kind of grassy, hoppy.
Yeah.
So, not terrible. Could be a little crispier. Could be a little, little. I don't know. I guess a little, like lighter, sharper, kind of. I get drier. That could accentuate the hops and everything. But, I am starting to really, really get into more farmhouse stuff. So I think if you're into that kind of stuff, light farmhouse ales, saisons, I think you might dig this. So I'll give it a 4.
I respect it.
All right.
Yeah.
So 4 for myself and a 4.5 for you, good sir.
Indeed.
Do you think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast. For myself, Marco Dupa, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer. And have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you. Fuck Tony Hinchcliffe.
Love